Hey y'all, this is Shavana, your future physician that you will soon know around the world. Today I want to start a three-part series about my experience of being a medical student. My first year honestly took the cake because I was ready to throw it all away and I didn't care about how many years I put into it. So it was honestly the worst experience of education that I've had, honestly. And we're going to talk about my first year experience and why I hated it today. Okay, so let's get into it. For those of you who don't know, and it's your first time on my channel, my name is Shavana Noble. I am from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am a non-traditional student. Definitely check out my pre-medical video, and you'll be able to listen to my journey and how I got to where I am before switching institutions. So my channel is based on my journey in medicine, some lifestyle things I'll be throwing in later, and just some of the things that I've learned that God has made me aware of or revealed to me as I go throughout life. So today's message is about my first year experience in medical school and why I absolutely hated it. When I say I hated that first year in medical school, I did. And there was nothing that even, there was no joy. There was no happiness. Even with the joy, you know how they're like, oh, you got to keep your joy. I didn't care about keeping nothing, okay? I was like, I'm done with this being a doctor, but it was because of the experience that I was having that made me not even care about the future. I didn't care about becoming a doctor anymore. It was like, I'm tired of being in medical school. But the reason all of that came into play was when I started at this institution, the first school. So let's get into that. The first school that I started at was University of Medicine and Health Sciences in St. Kitts. Some of y'all might have seen my video that was me talking about how God had put it on my heart to be in medical school. And then I did another video on like, oh, look, this is the school that I got into and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that became a horror story because when I started there, right, I started there and I was in a program called ARP, right? So I started with this program called ARP. It was a readiness program, and I took out, for those who go to this school, it's so much that I got to unpack from just the whole experience of it and all the stuff that I learned and how they try to hoodwink students and how it's set up to honestly make students fail if you really don't know what you're getting into and how prepared you need to be before you set foot in another country, taking out private loans that, that they really don't care about if they can help you or not. And that's just real life facts because I ended up having to switch institutions because I didn't have enough money. And then when I went to the school and asked them like, hey, so what can y'all do? Because I'm in my second year of medical school and I only had like 2 semesters left. I was going to end up breaking them up too. 2 semesters left of classes that I had to complete before we went to Maine because we had like a 4.5. It was basically you had 2.5 semesters, 2 years. So 2 years, 2.5 years, 2.5 years to complete your preclinical. But at that school, you only had like 5 semesters. They want you to get it done quickly and be off the island. But that was not the case for me. That was not the case at all. So I ended up splitting up my classes. And splitting up your classes means that your financial aid is going to be split up as well. And then eventually it will be cut off, which they don't tell you. They don't tell you that if you keep splitting up your classes, because that was the best thing for me because my mental health was at stake if I did not, because I could not sit in classes for 8 hours a day. It was a no. It was like 6 to 8 hours. We just sit in this chair. I said, absolutely not. I've never had no classes where I'm just chilling in class all day. And I've been in school pretty much all up until now. From college to my master's program, I was never at school from 8 in the morning and we getting home by 6 o'clock at night. What? Who? So when, let's get back to the beginning. When I started my program, I did ARP, and ARP was a readiness program. It was nothing like what you think medical school is going to be. I really felt like we were bamboozled when we got to that program. Because when we really got to medical school, the game switched because those classes were so short. It was like they just give you a taste, and it really wasn't a taste because it wasn't the real thing. And that's how you can, honestly, it was a way of getting extra money because it really wasn't readiness. Like it's saying readiness, it really wasn't. It was a way to get extra money. I feel like for me, for some people, it may be a different experience, but this is mine, so I don't want you to think that, this is everybody's experience. It's not, and it's based on how prepared other people are and how well you've studied and all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. So your experience can be different. Don't go based off of mine. It's based off of when you get there. But there is wisdom and there is help in other people's experience. There are facts that you need to know in other people's experience so that you won't get into the same situation and then be like, well, you had help right there. Somebody was telling you how this whole school works. Okay? So, I did the ARP program. And after that, I basically started my first year of medical school in fear because of all the things that we've heard in the past about how it's so hard and all the work and it's like a fire, not a fire hydrant, it's fire hydrant. Yeah, that's basically how it is. Like all of this information coming at you so fast. So all of the information is coming at you so fast. But I started, like I said, I started in fear. And the thing with that is, God did not make us with a spirit of fear. He made us with a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind, right? But the fear came because it was a lack of research on my end and not knowing, a fear of the unknown for one, because I didn't know how I was going to operate in this new position and what God has blessed me in, because it really was a blessing. God answered my prayers of getting into medical school. I was finally sitting in the thing that I prayed for, asked God for, and what it really felt like was a setup to take me out, to stop me from pursuing this dream of medicine. It did not feel like it was a blessing in my first year. Absolutely not. None of that. The whole experience over there felt nothing like a blessing. It felt like a curse. Okay? But so me going throughout that program, when I started, like in fear, it was because I didn't have the research that I need to know. I didn't know the classes that that are required in medical school, as in what classes will I be taking. So that's one thing that you need to be sitting down and figuring out, because before I started, I was in a rush to get through all those prereqs and didn't realize the same prereqs that I was rushing to get out of was the same classes on steroids in medical school, minus organic chemistry, minus physics, but physics has some physiology in it, okay? You need those classes, yes, because it's foundation, just like biochemistry, all those classes, some of those are on steroids. So when you get into medical school, you really need to look up what classes are in medical school so that I can be prepared and have resources laid out before I start medical school. Because that's what I didn't have. I didn't look up. I was so unprepared. It's crazy. I didn't look up what classes are in medical school. I was going in faith. And sometimes you have faith, but then you don't have the facts. It says walk by faith and not by sight, but sometimes our decisions are made based on the limited information that we have. So we end up making decisions in faith, but we don't have all the facts. And what I mean by that is you're not going to always have all the facts, but you need to have enough information that you can make a well enough educated decision on your next move. So the decision is faith. You won't know everything, but you need to know enough and have research enough, but you won't. I'm just saying. But you do need to, what I'm saying from my experience, I didn't know the classes, so I couldn't be prepared with resources. I started school and had no resources. I didn't even know how I was going to even learn in these classes at all. And that's where the fear came from. Because when school finally started, my schedule was 8 to 5 every day. And by the time I got home, it was like 6:30. Because some of my classes were like 2 hours. And then we had anatomy too. And that class was all day long. I think it was like 12 to like 6 because the class itself was 12 to 2. Then we had lab 3 to 6. It was just, or 3 to 5, whatever. And it was just a long day. And then even after that, the next semesters, it was still 2-hour classes back to back. And I could not handle that at all. I've never sat in a seat all day long just to study. I could not handle that experience. So at this school, being at school is mandatory. And I liked being at home. So when I started school, it was the pandemic. It was not, regular school. I started during the pandemic, meaning we were in our homes and we were and I had a schedule built up around being in my place. Then it switched to where the school was like, oh no, it's mandatory. You got to be at school every single day. And that took a toll on me because it just threw off my whole routine of being at home and learning how I want to learn. And I could not keep up with anything in class. And by the time I get out, I don't have time to study this material. So now I'm like, okay. And then by the time the exams came, we had no quizzes. And by the time the exam came, now you're failing because you can't even gauge if you're really learning correctly or if you're studying correctly because there's no quizzes to test your knowledge on the information that is being taught. And the way they start you is if you already just knew. Like, boom, okay, we start on the first day, we on the highest level of learning there is, and if you don't get it, you don't get it. It was gaps in my information that I didn't even know until I got at the institution that I'm at now, to where it was like, that school was really trying to set me up. It was trying to set me up to fail, to get people's money at the same time, because whether you pass, they gonna get your money. And whether you win, they still gonna get your money. So the best thing to do is to come prepared and be ready and know what classes you need to take, like I said, and what resources. It was the schedule that messed me up, that just had me all over the place. It was the fact that now my independence is taken away because I came from a place of having mobility, being able to get around, to a place of I gotta rely on the school bus transportation because everything is so expensive. I was not about to spend $400 a month on a car. What? I already don't have enough money with this loan that we get in. So why am I about to spend $400 something a month on a car? I said, am I about to purchase this car? Is this car gonna come back to me? No, that's to rent a car. You spend $400 a month. Absolutely not. So now I'm stuck on the bus schedule, and now I live far away. I lived far away at that time. I lived like 15 minutes away, and I had to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And mind you, I'm getting home at 6 o'clock at night. So then when am I gonna study? By the time I get home, I'm trying to eat dinner. It's about to be 7, 8 o'clock. Then, after it was 7 or 8, I got like a few hours to study. And then it's like, I need to go to bed because I had to get back up in the morning to be ready to get on this bus that's at 7 o'clock. Then me being at school all day, now I'm gaining weight because I'm eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, something that I've never done because of the stress. I gained so much weight in my first year because I was stressed out. I was blanking on exams in my first year because I didn't know how to study, and I was literally hyperventilating my first year. When I say the food was an aid to to calm me down. It was an aid for my stress, and I was going through depression. Like, it was crazy. I'm like, I've never had depression, but it was the fact that we're always inside, so you're not getting sunlight. Now you got depression going on, and you got anxiety on top of that, and those are sisters to each other. Now and then on top of that, overeating. And then another thing was being at school. Now you're eating these heavy meals, and now you're sleepy in the middle of the day. So once we all started figuring that out, we just stopped eating at school. We like, no, what I'm going to do is bring my own food. So it was a learning process of how I need to operate as a student, because it was just so much stuff happening at one time that you had no time to process it. You were just kind of going with the flow. I'm in medical school, praise the Lord, God done got me here. And it was not what I thought it was going to be. It was more so like, Lord, did you bless me to come here? You open the door for this opportunity for me to get here to fail? Because I felt like it was a setup to really have me fail out of school only to be back at home. That's what it felt like. It did not feel like, oh, wow, this is so beautiful. There were no beautiful moments. I couldn't even think of nothing that really, truly made me happy that whole year. Absolutely nothing. It was, I'm tired of this. And people be like, well, how's medical school? I hate it. And they're like, girl, no, ain't no girl, nothing. I hate it. I don't like it. I honestly don't care about being a doctor. I'm a creative person. I like to have the mental space to think about my goals, my dreams, how I'm going to live my life. And honestly, medicine really took up my ability to dream. And it wasn't medicine taking up my ability to dream. It was that schedule, that 8 to 5 schedule, taking up my creative space, because all I could do was study all day long. There was no time for me to decompress. It was stress. I'm stressed out because I'm sitting in this chair all day, and I'm stressed out because I can't do nothing when I get home, and then I come back and do the same thing all over again that I don't like doing, leading to me being mad, frustrated, irritated, depressed. I'm doing the same thing I don't want to do. It was a whole cycle, a whole setup for failure. And it makes you think about all the things beforehand. Like, you were able to work and you could get around. You come to school, you don't have no money. So now you don't have no money, and you're living off a loan. So that was another thing. You can't do anything, can't get around. You stuck on this transportation. It was 100 different factors in one that made me absolutely hate being on the island. Now I'm getting adjusted to the island. We forgot about that. You got to get adjusted to the island because it's not like your normal way of living. We got this 8 to 5 schedule. Now I have mandatory classes. I'm stuck at school all day. I have to rely on this transportation, and if I decide I want to go home, I got to pay to get back. Because there was, at that time, you only had one time to get to school and one time to leave because they were trying to get things together. So basically, we were the guinea pigs going through all of this madness of them getting back on routine before the pandemic. So they had 2 bus times, 7 in the morning when they pick you up, and then you go back home at night at like 6. That's it. Okay, the getting adjusted to this new way of living on the island, from me being able to get my hair done every 2 weeks to now I got to get my hair done every 4 months. So like I said, I'm used to getting my hair done. It was so many adjustments in that year that really put me in a oppressive mode. I don't have transportation. I can't get my hair done. I can't be my best self. I'm just stuck in school all day. I can't go outside and enjoy anything because now I'm going to be thinking about how am I going to pass these classes, and then I shouldn't be enjoying being outside because am I even passing? So my first year, that really stressed me completely out. I had 4 classes. I had anatomy, evidence-based medicine, cell biology, and clinical skills. So what I really can say is it was my worst semester ever, absolutely. And it was a time for me to, it was more so I was surviving in those classes. I wasn't learning. I wasn't learning at all. I was just in medical school trying to get through the day because I was trying to figure out what was this tornado that I decided was the best idea to become a doctor. It was not a dream come true. It almost felt like I'm done with this, and it felt like that every day. There was nothing that I wanted to hold on to. I didn't see my future at all. I didn't see nothing about being this doctor of medicine. People that are going to islands, your whole life is disrupted in a way, especially if you're going into a tri-semester. Because in my institution that I'm at now, way different. Way different. It's not even, we don't even have mandatory classes, and I'm at a Caribbean school. Now, do all schools have drama? Absolutely. But this was a better choice for me going this way. Anyways, one thing I want to say is actually being a student, I did not know how to be a medical student. I did not know which study resources to use that can help me be efficient in my classes or like with my time. For me, it was too many. It was too many resources to figure out which one actually worked for you, and I learned that as semesters went forward. So you have to find. I'm sorry, y'all. They got this going on in the back of us. So basically, like I was saying, after that rigmarole, whatever was going on, it's you having to find the quickest method that allows you to learn the material in the shortest amount of time, or use the way you're used to learning. And sometimes the way you're used to learning does not work. And I had to learn how to be a medical student. Like I had to learn what resources I needed. So I began panicking every class, and I stopped putting forth any effort in like the second month because I wasn't doing well in the courses. I didn't care anymore whether I stayed in school, whether I got out of school. Like I just didn't care. And like I said, you don't know what's helpful until the end because we didn't have quizzes in between. So that's how you know they was really setting us up. We don't have quizzes. So now by the time you get to the exam, you're trying to figure out if you think you know what you know or if you're studying well because you don't have quizzes to gauge your learning. All right. So, yeah. So it was not as much as people swear by this. Anki didn't help me. It didn't help me because I didn't know how to use it, and the reason why it didn't help in that instance is because I didn't know how to study for the classes. So it might have helped if I had a good hold on the information, then it probably would have helped me out, but it was not helping. Other people seem to have a study method down, and I did not. And I was getting by the grace of God. Period. So I was not performing well. Which does something to your self-esteem. So now failure is dealing with your confidence. So now if I'm not doing well in classes, now my confidence is low because I'm like, can I really be a doctor? Now you got imposter syndrome. And it really it's not it's you know how they're like, oh, can I be a doctor? How about it's the way that this is set up that is making me feel like I can't be a doctor. If it was put in a way that I can actually comprehend and grasp the information, then great. Then I would feel like I could be a doctor. But not perform well does something to your confidence, like I said. And if you are a perfectionist and expect certain results, you begin to think it's a reflection of you, and it's really not. So yeah, punishing yourself does nothing either because it didn't help. So if you like, oh, I'm not gonna go out because I didn't do well in this exam, honestly, you need to go out because that's the problem. We can't go out. So it was just so much happening that first year. And I remember an exam we had and all we could do was laugh because we really failed that bad boy. Like all of my friends, we really failed that exam. And we was like, you know what? I don't even care. We didn't even care because we just looked at each other in disbelief. Like we really didn't understand. Not one thing on that exam. Like all we did, y'all telling you, we just started laughing. We walked out and laughed. We didn't even care no more. We was like, you know what? Whatever. Such is life. So yeah. Now my living accommodations in that year, like I said, I've always been a planner if you watch some of my other videos. So in January of like 2021, I wrote down where I want to live and how I want my apartment to look because I thought I was going to be going to Barbados. The lies. So when I finally got to St. Kitts, my friend had told me, she was like, because all the other schools I even got rejected from, even in the US to like two of these other Caribbean schools that I applied to, I got rejected from those. And the apartment that I had, it was like on the water, but the biggest frustration was it was $1,600 a month. So yeah, God fulfilled that dream of me getting that, but then it was like, is having this place conducive for my success because it was not. So in that year, I had mold issues, and so I had mold issues going on in my first year. Can't even learn correctly, adjusting to medical school because now we in another country. On top of your confidence is going down because you're not doing well in these exams, trying to get back, trying to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And it was crazy. The whole thing was just stupid. It was so much. Transportation, convenience. I missed the convenience back home. So yeah, my first year in medical school, to start the year, what I learned was to start the year with expectation. Start every semester with expectation because I was defeated before I even started. I was in a place of uncertainty, lacking trust in God and my abilities, as well as instead of speaking faith, because anything that is not faith is sin. So I was already worried about my semester when it started. I was not in high hopes when it started. I did not have confidence when it started, and you can see how that was basically my everyday life of fear and anxiety because I did not have the confidence to be like, you know what, I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna do well. No, I had no confidence in any of it. It was a year to find out who I am on this level and to really do this thing that I've been waiting to be and to make adjustments quickly. I learned that you can't prepare for medical school like many people may ask because they want to be, you know how many people ask me like, oh, how can I prepare for medical school? What can I do? Honestly, you won't know what to prepare for until you get there. But when they are telling you to take those classes, when schools are telling you need to go throughout this program or do a post-bac or whatever the case is, get into those programs that are medicine based. Get into those programs that make you ready for medical school for real, that put you under that rigorous schedule because those help and that are the same courses as medical school. That's one thing that I didn't have, that I noticed because that's how I couldn't catch on to this material like I needed to because I could not understand how to learn this information. And if I would have been in those classes beforehand, I probably would have did much better. So medical school is actually personalized. It's based on the person that gets in there. It's not, everybody has a different experience. So yeah, this is something you have to be in to learn what works for you because everyone studies differently. Everyone has different background, and some things that work for me may not work for the next person. All right, so I had to learn people, and that even though I moved to a new location, people will still be people. I had to learn that what worked for me in the past does not work now. Those study skills that I had in the past does not work now, and I had to learn. I had to learn the country. I had to learn how to be in school again. I had to learn which tools to use again. It was just overwhelming and exhausting in my first year to where I just didn't know. I really didn't know what was happening in my life. And I had to implement all the mental tools that I've learned over the years to be strong mentally, which it felt like I couldn't even rely on those because it was really defeating me. The test, all of it. I didn't know how to really pick myself up in any of that. I honestly, I could not get myself together. I didn't know who I was anymore because school was really beating me up. I had the worst energy all year long. If you talk to anybody that was around me, I absolutely hated school. When I say absolutely hate it, absolutely hated it. I learned to do one thing at a time instead of trying to do so many things. So, in conclusion, I can say that my first year of medical school, it was a year for me to learn how to thrive on this level. But it was a year to make me doubt who I was as a person too. It was, it wasn't a year to make me doubt, but it was more so like the enemy was trying to make me doubt what I said that God told me to do. And once I had the experience of going to a school that was 8 to 5, instead of knowing that instead of me researching other schools to figure out this schedule, that was a setup for failure. It works for some people if you have the right skills. If you if you've been working in the medical field, that works because you have seen this information before and it's easier for you to get through. So let's not even play with it because everybody can't learn that way. It's really the truth. I cannot sit in class for 2 hours a day. If that's not you, don't choose a school that you already know is about to set you up. But I thought that was what it meant to be in school. I thought being in school 8 to 5, that was the schedule for medical school, and I got to deal with it because I said I want to be a doctor, and I'm willing to go through with this schedule. So it challenged my confidence. It challenged my plans that I thought I had for myself, and my mental health. Like, it was so many strategies that I had to learn at one time about being this student and being this doctor that I said I wanted to be. I was ready to quit, and I really did not care either. Like I mentioned, my mindset was, am I going to stay in something that is disrupting my mental health, that is disrupting my peace, that is disrupting my joy? It's not that serious. I don't want it. If I got to be in something that is causing me to have almost on the borderline of having health issues, why am I doing this? This doesn't make any sense. Why do I have to have anxiety every day? This doesn't make any sense. And that's what was going on. So I want to enjoy my life, not be stressed out. And medical school was stressing me out, but I didn't have another plan either. And this was the plan for me. So, I was trying to stick it out. Every frustration, though, I can say it was needed, because from taking all those classes that only left me stressed, to living 20 minutes away, to being at a school that was 8 to 5, it was only showing me what type of student I needed to be and what environment I needed to be in to succeed. That I could not be in an 8 to 5. I do not need to live 20 minutes away. Even if I love the apartment I'm in, should I be closer? Do I need to forget how this apartment look because I need to get through school? I'm not even going to be on the island living in this apartment. I need to get through school. I need to be in something that allows me to be productive in school. So because the apartment that I lived at, I loved being in it. But God had to switch that and move me and be like, you can love it all day. You need to get out this apartment because this is not helping you, only for you to live so many miles away. And now you wake up frustrated every day because you got to get up at the crack of dawn to get to school because you're not close. You're not close by, and you can't go home because you're not close by. You gotta wait to get on the bus. All those things happen so that I can get to a place that I can thrive. Like where I am now, I learned all that stuff at that last school so that I can actually be blessed in this season and truly become a doctor of medicine. God was teaching me how to be successful by showing me I don't have the capacity to take all those classes, so I keep trying to. And so taking all those classes, God was showing me, why am I trying to take all these classes and try to get off the island quicker? Right? But me trying to get off the island quicker would only basically get me off the island permanently, because that's truly what it did. I had to leave that school because, for one, I had to slow down and take less classes, which started eating up my financial aid because they want you to be out in 5 semesters, but they don't tell you that if you're not out within 5 semesters, you only got 2 more semesters and they cut off your financial aid. And then they don't care when you call the office. They're gonna be like, oh wow, we're so sorry. We're so sorry that you can't continue your education. You need to find a sponsor. That's exactly what they told me. You need to find a sponsor. Well, if I'm on loans right now, how am I gonna find a sponsor? Well, we shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. What? If I'm taking out loans, I think I would have had somebody paying for my education if somebody else would have been paying for it. I think I'm on loans for a reason. because I can't pay for my education. Anyways, yeah, God had to make me mad about my living situation, just all the things that happened. It was good. I learned, looking back now, all things work together for the good of them who love God and are called according to his purpose. All those things had to happen to put me in a place to make better decisions regarding my mental health, to my living situation, my finances, how I can study better, how to learn the information better. Because if I didn't go to that school, I wouldn't know how to operate at this school. If I didn't go through those classes there, I wouldn't know how to operate in the classes here. So even though I had took out those loans, spent that money, God sent me to a new place to realize like it's some stuff you missed in your education. There's some gaps in your education that you didn't even know were there because you were rushing through, or the classes were too fast, so it didn't give you the time to learn. And like I said, I was in survival mode and I had no idea what I was even learning. And if I did learn it, I don't even remember that I learned it because I didn't enjoy learning and I was just trying to get through the class. Everything happened to make me better. That's it. So my first year of medical school was my worst year, but God switched it around so that I can become my best self and to know exactly what I need to do to make me, to help me be a better medical student and a better person, and to just set myself up in a better situation. Yeah, that's all I got to say.